Suzuki GSX-R1000 Review and Price 2017. I should back up and write bikes, seeing as how the platform includes a base GSX-R1000 and higher spec GSX-R1000R, the latter of which I had the chance to hustle around the Phillip Island circuit in Melbourne, Australia, earlier this week. The bikes share an engine, frame, and bodywork, but on the R you get upgraded Showa suspension, more advanced electronics, and a long list of smaller details, including, for example, a lighter weight battery. These are exciting things if you're a GSX-R fan or happen to be in the market for a new litter bike. The last time Suzuki paid any attention to its GSX-R1000 was in 2012, updated exhaust, suspension, and brakes, and the last major update was in 2009. You could have bought $5 worth of newly invented bitcoins that same year and since made enough money off them to buy something like one GSX-R1000R for every track day you plan to do in 2017. Things happen in 8 years. Suzuki hasn't been sleeping its days away, and a lot of what you see on this GSX-R is the byproduct of its on/off involvement in MotoGP over the past decade. Milliseconds turn into microseconds at the highest level of racing, and the technology that's come out of Suzuki's race camp is nothing short of impressive. Race winning, even. For similar reasons, the GSX-R uses new dual-stage funnels on cylinders 1 and 4, which essentially act like a variable length intake funnel system but without the added parts and complexity. A longer funnel sits atop a shorter one with gaps, and air flows in at different heights depending on RPM. Throttle bodies have a 2 mm larger bore, 46 mm versus 44 mm, and are 19 mm shorter, which is likely what enabled Suzuki to lower the fuel tank height by some 21 mm. Other changes, like a smaller stator, rerouted oil passageways in the crankcases, and reduced cylinder angle, 6 degrees in total, allow for the engine to be 6.6 mm narrower and 22.2 mm shorter. There's no balancer shaft on this model. Suzuki has used a new cassette-style transmission, however. Changes to the engine dimensions and cylinder cant gave Suzuki the freedom to rework chassis dimensions, without making drastic changes to wheelbase, for better front-end feel and increased stability. To this end, the distance between front axle and swing arm pivot is 20 mm shorter, while the distance between swing arm pivot and rear axle is 40 mm longer. The wheelbase still grows 15 mm to 1,420 mm or 55.9 inches. Brakes include 10 mm larger Brembo discs, instead of Sunstar, monoblock front calipers, and a radial pump master cylinder, all of which are curiously tied to rubber brake lines. Suspension varies between models, with the standard bike using a Showa big piston front fork plus Showa shock, and the R the latest Showa balance-free front fork and balance-free rear cushion light shock. The R also gets a lighter weight upper triple clamp, which basically just means the clamp has holes on the right and left side of the stem. Bridgestone RS10 tires are an upgrade over S20s on the previous generation GSX-R and sit on new, lighter weight 6-spoke wheels. The rear tire grows in height slightly, going from 190/50-17 to 190/55-17. Maybe it's because I've grown accustomed to rather lackluster platform revisions or because Suzuki's overarching approach to the bike's design seemed so much the same, but for some reason I sort of overlooked many of the GSX-R's updates going into this test. This bike looked and sounded like the GSX-R1000 we've already come to know and love, just with tweaks here and there and the obvious addition of TC and VVT. I couldn't have been more wrong though, and my first laps around Phillip Island were a reminder that, in this case especially, all new means all freaking new. In the end, Suzuki has created a bike that retains the spirit of the GSX-R but at the same time feels so much more refined and advanced. This may not be the absolute lightest handling litter bike or the one that makes the most outright power, but it's an incredibly confidence-inspiring motorcycle overall, and strikes a perfect balance between user-friendliness and raw performance. In a class where milliseconds and ounces make a difference, this one goes so far in putting Suzuki's GSX-R platform back on the map that it could very well be the bike that brings the king of the Superbike crown right back to Suzuki's doorstep. At $14,599 for the standard model, a $700 increase over the 2016 model, $14,999 for the standard model with ABS, and $16,999 for the R, it'll simply be a hard bike to argue against. Thanks for watching.